Hey guys, good morning. It's actually not morning for you. It's probably afternoon if you're watching this right when the video comes out. But today's going to be a hot day. The next 3 days are going to be in the 90s, which is crazy because last week they were cold, rainy days, and next week we're back to the 60s again. So who knows what's going on with the weather. But I wanted to get out here before it gets too hot and give you a walk around the property. We've done quite a bit actually in the last couple of weeks since our last update. So I'm going to walk you around, show you what we've done, and then talk about something I alluded to. Well, I still can't 100% talk about it. I will tell you this pasture area behind. That's what I'm going to be starting to work on. This is a half acre. It will be pasture for animals. One in particular that I can't discuss yet, but I will tell you that if you go back to that last video, I asked you guys to guess, and I will say a couple of you got it. Most of you didn't. So on next week's video, I think I will be ready to tell you or to discuss the animal that we are going to be bringing here. Not too soon, but probably later in the year, the fall probably. Now, if you can see here, I have planted 3 trees. Here's the first one. These are liquid amber. The variety is Festival. There's not a lot of trees in Southern California that give you fall color. These are one of them. They've actually been bred for our climate. And so these trees in the fall will produce all kinds of colors, you know, reds, oranges, peach, pink, all the leaves on one tree. And the reason I planted these here in particular is because at this time of year, actually since December, the hill back here behind is green. Earlier in the year, there was beautiful yellow flowers, wildflowers all over it. But in the next couple of months, and then throughout the rest of the year, this hill will be brown. It is not watered. It's our neighbor's. And so I chose these 3 trees in particular because not only I want fall color wherever I can get it, but they are deciduous. They will lose their leaves in the winter. And so throughout the winter and early spring, the hill, when it looks nice, you're going to be able to see it because there will be no leaves on the trees to block it. And then in the summertime, late spring, summer, early fall, the trees will actually be covered in leaves and they will be masking the brown hill back there. So that's the plan, at least. Hopefully that works. So this is exciting. My avocado tree, which has looked like this for the whole winter, or since we bought it really, is now sprouting new leaves and actually flowers. We probably won't get any avocados this year because the tree is so small. We could, it might happen, but just to see this new growth coming on, that makes me happy. Got a bunch of new trees here. We've got flowering cherry trees. We've got 2 red buds, which I believe I showed you in the last video, a couple citrus, an almond tree. Now, a lot of these trees are in kind of small, getting started type pots, so I will have to pot them up pretty soon. But got new growth on the citrus. That's a good sign. And now over to the temporary vegetable garden. Looking a little messy. We've done some harvesting of the Napa cabbage and some of the regular cabbage. And then we've got some aphid issues that I haven't been on top of on a couple of these that have stunted its growth. In the back here, our sweet peas, best smelling flower around as far as I'm concerned, are starting to bloom. And then over here, the slow poke of the garden every year is the purple sprouting broccoli. The last 2 years that I grew it at our old house, I actually had to give up on it because it takes so long to produce. I had to have the space for the next round of crops. Fortunately, this year, I'm not going to be replanting vegetables here. And so it can just sit there and do its thing until it's ready. I don't have to remove it. All right, now we will head over to the new vegetable garden, which yesterday I actually did the first official planting. First, it was so great to be actually planting and not building. Good morning, chickens. I've actually got some really exciting news. Well, they already know the news, but I'm going to let you guys in on the news for them, which is going to be coming up very shortly. So I've been working on this path to the vegetable garden. Again, we are on a hill, so maintaining soil, keeping it from eroding. I've actually started on this very rustic wall that's just made from stones that I've kind of pulled out of the soil as we've been excavating here. And what I'm going to do is actually plant thyme, T-H-Y-M-E, into the cracks in this wall. And so it'll just be a nice, very rustic, Mediterranean looking wall. And this is just to hold up a wheelbarrow path. So for those of you who are on my Next Level Gardening channel, I did the how-to video on how I made all of these retaining walls, which have turned out so amazing. I love them so much. But on the other side of these walls, there's going to be another wall to hold up all of that land up there, and then a series of steps coming down to access that side of the garden. Now, the thing with that is, steps aren't great for a wheelbarrow, and you bring a wheelbarrow in and out of a vegetable garden a lot with compost and plants and things like that. And so this side of the garden, because the compost bin will eventually be back over there in those trees, I needed a ramp to be able to get the wheelbarrow in and out of the garden. And so it'll start over there and it'll come around, and then it'll be level at the path side of each one of these raised beds, as you can see right there. And then it'll continue down this way and I'll get to the bottom level. So yesterday in this lower section, I got 3 beds planted, and they are potatoes and their companion plants. Tomorrow's video on Next Level Gardening will be planting potatoes and the companion planting that will help take care of a lot of the pests that potatoes tend to get. So make sure you're subscribed over there. So looking from down below at the house and the vegetable garden, this area, this kind of hill right here, as of next year, the plan is to turn this into a miniature vineyard. It will fit very well with the Mediterranean look, and we'll get lots of good grapes out of it, and who knows what we'll do with those. But this year, because I'm just not ready for the entire kind of infrastructure that has to be put in for the grapes, and I would prefer to buy them bare root because it's cheaper and I'm going to need quite a few plants. But this year, starting this week, probably if it's not too hot, this is going to be our pumpkin patch. So I got lots of different kinds, shapes, sizes, and colors of pumpkins and winter squash. And this is going to be the perfect south-facing slope for them to be planted on. They really like the heat, and they're going to be able to just bask in baking sun for most of the day throughout the summer. So Bill was here with the tractor this past weekend, and he was here 3 hours, and it's always amazing to me how much work he can get done with that tractor in 3 hours. So one of the things he did was the level of the ground above this top, on this top terrace here, was quite a bit higher than the wall. So he was able to scrape and level all of that. And then he was able to bring the tractor up into the front yard where the English and French gardens will be, and he worked more on the terraces for up here. So he had already done a little bit of this lower terrace, but he added to it. He brought it in and made it a little bit bigger. We were bringing the compost down. Oh, first of all, he filled all of my beds with compost. So that was a huge time savings and back saving. But what that did was that gave him more room to work up here. And so he was able to bring that terrace quite a bit further back. Now this whole entire front area, the plan is at least 2 huge terraces 30 feet deep. So there will be the first retaining wall of about 3 feet tall, right where these pots of fruit trees are. That will go back 30 feet, and then there'll be another retaining wall, and then another 30 feet almost up to the fence. And so he was actually able to start on this second terrace and bring some of the soil from up here down to the lower terrace. Now we are leaving a 5-foot stripe next to the driveway all the way down. And I'm going to have a rustic English looking fence all along here, and we're going to have climbing roses and, you know, salvias and lavenders and things like that, just to make this entire kind of entrance into the property beautiful. And it's going to show you the theme kind of as you enter. English will be on both sides of the driveway. So if you could just imagine coming through the gates here, and just, I mean, everything you're going to see is just going to be flowers all over the place. Flowers and hedges. Our tulip bed is coming to an end, and I'm going to be planting a lot of ranunculus in here. I'll be doing a video on that on the gardening channel. These three pine trees here are going to be taken out. This Dusty Miller will be cut back. The pine trees will be replaced by these little lavender trees that we actually got at Costco. And the pine trees are going to be potted up into bigger pots, and they're going to be waiting for the Japanese garden. Now on this side of the driveway is the exact opposite of what it will be. This right now is all succulents and cactus. It's a dry garden. Now a lot of these are going to be moved over into the Mediterranean countryside area. I didn't show you that. Hang on. So beyond this fence that actually shouldn't be here is still our property. And I spent a lot of time in the last couple of weeks. This was like waist-high grass, and I went over there with the weed eater and got it all cut down. But eventually this will be the backdrop of the Mediterranean vegetable garden, and then the Mediterranean kind of entertaining area over there. And so we're going to have lavenders, and we're going to have olive trees, and we're going to have, you know, some of the succulents. And so it's just going to be a nice backdrop. There'll be a path kind of where you can wind your way through there. So that'll be the future home of plants like this agave here. However, starting this week, this coming week, we are starting with the chicken coop that's going to be up here in this blank area, and it's going to be a pretty much full-size English cottage. I've showed you pictures before. I'll try to insert them right here just so you can kind of get an idea of where my head is at. Now, we had a bit of a delay on this because both of our gates, we've had an issue with not only dogs, but coyotes coming into our yard. And when the coyotes come in, the chickens are asleep, but they can smell them. You can see footprints around the little coop. But we had dogs, and I'm not even sure where they came from, but they come in and they harass the chickens sometimes during the day. These gates have to be open all the time because we don't have a motor on them yet. I bought the motors 6 months ago or so. The problem is there's only electricity to this one gate, and it still needs to have a little foundation poured for the motor. But we need to get electricity over to the other gate from this gate here. So I had someone over to dig the trench that goes through there. We had an electrician come out and he told me what to do. And then I was going to use one of those water blaster. You hook it to the end of a PVC and it kind of blasts its way under concrete or under driveway, whatever. I got halfway after about an hour. Here it is still, the pipe, because it got stuck. I couldn't get it in or out any further. So I had to figure out a plan B, and plan B was to get a saw blade to put on my circular saw that would cut through the asphalt. And it was a pretty easy process, actually. So you can see here I have a 3-inch deep trench that is next to the track for the gate. So now the electrician will be able to come over and run electricity all the way through. Now it's actually going to go through or right underneath the chicken coop. And so we're going to put an electrical outlet at the chicken coop, so we have electricity there when we need it. And then I'm also going to have another electrical outlet put up here for any type of outdoor lighting or anything like that that we would need in this area. Now, I tend to be someone who fills their plate too full and then gets overwhelmed about how I'm going to do everything and really kind of procrastinate on certain things. And so I need a way to push me, especially when it's a big project like the chicken coop, when I just am still finishing a huge project like the vegetable garden. And so I need something that's I need a deadline that I cannot manipulate. So my remedy for that, to create a deadline that I could not move, was to go ahead and buy baby chicks. Now the baby chicks will be inside for 6 weeks. That's kind of the time frame that you want to keep your baby chicks inside. You got the heat lamp and everything that they need in there. And after 6 weeks, they have to go into the coop. So now we have an unmovable deadline of 6 weeks to have this coop ready for those chicks and the 3 hens that are waiting patiently for their new digs as well. So I'm going to take you into the house and show you our baby chicks. So we've got the chickens in here in a dog crate. Gives them lots of room to run around. There's got pine shavings on the ground. We've got their food, their water, and their heat lamp. We've got 6 baby chicks in here. What is this? 4 different breeds, right? We've got a Buff Orpington. Our goal was to get a multitude of colors in their eggs. So Buff Orpington, that's the same as the 3 chickens that we originally had 6 or 7 years ago when we first got chickens. Very sweet, gentle breed, fairly good layers, quiet birds. Again, they lay kind of a pinkish tan egg. And then we also got Cuckoo Morans, 2 of those, and those lay deep chocolate brown eggs, sometimes with speckles. And we got 1 production blue, which is a really pretty grayish blue chicken that produces tan eggs. And then we have 2 cream leg bars that produce blue eggs, blue-green. And then out in the coop, we've got 3 hens that are already producing a white, a blue, and a tan egg. We've got a white leghorn, which is a traditional white chicken that was in the factory farming. They produce a lot of eggs. I mean, almost every single day of the year. We have a Americana, which is the blue eggs, and we have a Plymouth Rock, which is another white chicken, a little more fluffy and plump. They lay tan eggs, small tan eggs. I probably wouldn't get that breed again. Now, that would give us, with 6, that's 9 chickens that we have right now. And then we're going to be getting, we're going back next week and getting lavender Orpingtons, which are similar to the Buff Orpingtons. Gentle, sweet bird, quiet, good layer. Those are a bluish lavender color, tan eggs. And then I'm looking for an olive egger, which at the farm store we were in, they don't come in until June. So I'm hoping to find one sooner than that. Those lay green eggs, olive green eggs. Was that it? And then when we go back, they're going to have some Easter eggers as well, which are different colors of bluish green, pinkish. So with all of those, we'll probably end up with maybe 12 chickens, and we'll get a whole bunch of different color eggs. So that'll be fun. And then there is an event coming up near us in Valley Center. It's called the Mad Hatcher, I think, and it's like a chicken expo. And we'll probably come home with more. I don't know. But fortunately, our coop is going to be humongous, and so we can fit as many as we want to. Well, I hope you enjoyed the tour. The sun is just about to peek over the mountains there. So I'm going to head in and have breakfast, and I'll see you guys next time.